Let's head to Europe, where Georgia's parliament on Tuesday adopted a controversial foreign influence law that has sparked weeks of mass protest against the measure, which Brussels has warned would undermine Tbilisi's European aspirations. Lawmakers voted 84 to 30 in favor during the third and final reading of the law, which was widely denounced as mirroring repressive Russian legislation used to silence dissent. The vote came as street protesters skirmished with riot police outside the building in the center of the capital, where demonstrations have taken place over the last month. Around 2,000 mainly young protesters gathered outside Parliament and chanted "No" to the Russian law as news spread that lawmakers had adopted the law. To further discuss this, I'm joined by Ejike Okpa, Global Affairs Analyst. Ejike, thank you very much for joining us. How does the adoption of these laws impact Georgia's relationship with the European Union, and what steps can be taken to mitigate any potential negative consequences?
Thank you for having me. I think, nations have the right to decide what laws they want to adopt, to pass. I don't know, in the case of Georgia, if they have a recourse. Because what happens is that, if they do that recourse, they can go to a constitutional court, because this is just the legislature passing a law. So what they can do is now sue and begin to expose either the negative aspect of the law, why they don't need it, and then if their Supreme Court passes it, then, passes it for the protest people, then it's not going to uphold. But if they don't do anything, if it's an authoritarian sort of regime, then the law, stays. But what you see now across the globe is, where, rich nations support what they call the NGOs, and through these NGOs, they begin to gather information or have influence on their domestic countries that doesn't go well for the national government. I think it's for the sake of disclosure. Anybody who is going to get money from a foreign entity to do anything needs to disclose it to their national government. For instance, in America, we have what we call the Foreign Agency Registration Act. So, for instance, if I'm going to lobby on behalf of Nigeria, I'm going to have to disclose that. Don't, it's a federal crime, and I can be tried, and then if I'm convicted, I'm going to jail. So I support those things, so that way people know who is paying who. This is a case of who pays the piper dictates the tone. So we'll see what happens in Georgia. I'm hoping that, hey, somebody will challenge it to a court, and then see whether the law will stand.
In what ways might the foreign influence law be used to silence dissent, and what measures can civil society organizations take to protect their freedom of expression?
Well, again, the case of who pays the piper dictates the tone. If you're receiving money from an organization, it comes with terms and conditions. It comes with requirements. It comes with expectations. And because of the economic challenges in this country, when they receive $1 million or something less than that, a lot of them are, that's their livelihood. They are willing to do something that may be anti or undermine their own national government, because somebody's paying them. Somebody's keeping them and giving them that money. I think it's going to go both ways. The most important thing is that anybody who is going to be receiving foreign money is supposed to register it and disclose it. And then what is the mission of this money? What are you trying to get? It's not just the spies that spy on countries. Sometimes, citizens of a particular country, through their conducts and activities, maybe sharing information with their foreign interest, and those things go to undermine their own, living standards. So, NGOs, again, if it happens in their country, they should get together and file a lawsuit against their national, higher courts, and say, hey, this is unconstitutional. And then if they win, they win. If they don't, maybe they come up with, that disclosure requirement that if you receive money, you have to tell us who you got it from.
How might the adoption of this law impact foreign investment in Georgia, and what steps can the government take to reassure investors and maintain economic stability?
Those are two parallel things. You remember, this money is for NGOs. The NGOs are non-governmental agencies. In America, we call them non-profit. I don't think it's going to affect investment because, foreign direct investment is about revenue, it's about returns, it's about a particular project. Investors might say, well, if you don't have a law that is that strict and restrict people's ability to participate in the economy, however they choose, they may pull back. But investors are driven by returns. The politics of it, oftentimes they find a way to go around. So in my own estimation, I don't think it will. Because, for instance, coming into America to invest has nothing to do with a whole lot of laws. You just look, what is the stability and the security of my investment? If I put $1, what am I getting back? And what is the guarantee that I'm going to get that back? The other local politics and issues oftentimes doesn't affect investors because investors are money driven and return is, what drives their motivation.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.